Welcome to Zen and the Art of Real Estate Investing, one of the fastest growing real estate investing podcasts in the world. What if you could learn from experienced real estate investors? Find out what got them to where they are now. Get insight into their daily habits and take these insights to inspire your own growth. Each episode, Jonathan Greene shares an in-depth look at the mindful approach to real estate investing. Jonathan is a lifelong real estate investor and the founder of Streamline, a data-driven, investor-friendly, independent real estate brokerage located in Madison, New Jersey. Whether you're looking to start from scratch, get to the next level, or just for a straightforward and honest approach to real estate investing, this is the free mentorship program you can take with you anywhere. Now, here's Jonathan.
Thanks for tuning in for another episode of Zen and the Art of Real Estate Investing. My guest today is Ash Patel of Invest Beyond Multifamily. So you might have figured it out from the title. We're talking learning to invest beyond multifamily, but we're talking about investing in necessity-based commercial real estate properties in growth markets. And Ash figured it out on his own, starting with mixed use. Let's get to it right now. This is episode 313 of Zen and the Art of Real Estate Investing with my guest, Ash Patel. Ash is a commercial real estate investor for more than 15 years, and he is a value-add commercial business investor. Let me just go through some of these things that I know we're going to talk about. Warehouse, industrial, land, triple net, restaurants, retail, office, ding, ding, medical, and much more. Ash, welcome to the show.
Jonathan, thank you so much. Looking forward to this conversation.
Yeah, me too. And your thing is called Invest Beyond Multifamily because you learned to invest beyond multifamily, right?
Correct.
Yeah. How did it start? Because I think you started with a mixed use, which is one of my favorite type of properties.
Why is it your favorite? That's really interesting.
Yeah. So I love mixed use because I like the Main Street part of it. And I like the dual kind of like diversification inside one asset. The fact that you can do retail and that you can have residential, and residential, your tenancies are going to turn quicker. Your retail, maybe that's going to be a solid tenant, but when they go out, it's a little more trouble. I just like having a diversified asset inside of itself. What about you?
Well, I'm glad you said that because most people are scared of mixed use. So my backstory, I was in IT for 15 years and I needed a tax write-off, didn't know anything about real estate. So I figured, okay, let me just go buy something and see how it works out.
Yeah.
First building I bought was a mixed use building in a college town.
Ooh.
And, here's why this was really stupid. The reason I bought it was because when the store owner's lease expired, I figured I could put somebody in there and have an additional revenue stream, right?
Yeah.
Really dumb idea, but that's my mindset at the time.
Yeah.
So I got in there, ended up rehabbing these apartments that were all in really bad shape. But meanwhile, the commercial tenant, the first floor was a grocery store that basically sold a lot of beer to college kids.
Yeah.
And I inherited them as a tenant.
Yeah.
So everything was going fine, but I'm getting a lot of calls from tenants. This is not working, toilets clog, all the nonsense. And I always went out there with a bag full of tools and shop vac and figured out whatever it was because I didn't want to pay somebody to do that.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, my commercial tenant is making improvements to their own space. They're remodeling their bathroom. They put a whole new HVAC system in on their dime. And I thought, wait a minute, like I've got residential tenants destroying my apartments.
Yeah.
They're
going the opposite direction.
Yeah. Jonathan, and, college kids, they only sign 1-year leases.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, my tenant downstairs is on 5-year terms.
Yep.
So I thought, okay, I need to become a commercial real estate investor. And that was the pivotal moment that changed my life and dropped everything that I was doing, became a full-time commercial real estate investor.
Yeah. And I mean, the reason why I like mixed use now at my age is because I like the opportunity to put a business of my own in the bottom, just to have that possibility or to help someone in a small town on a main street where it's like, it doesn't cost that much for the rent. So you can take a chance, or like you're saying, and I'm on, commercial before, you could luck out and get a grocery store or Verizon in there. And then you're good for like 10, 15 years. You don't have to do anything. And the upstairs, I would probably do short-term rentals or mid-term rentals now instead of long-term rentals, because I don't really like the landlording game myself.
Yep. Yeah. Insurance companies hate them. Lenders hate them. Residential investors hate them.
Yeah.
Commercial people like me now hate them because I don't want to deal with the residential part. So they fall through the cracks, and you can pick them up at great prices.
Yeah. Yeah. So in terms of that, though, I know that like office is the thing that you're really focused on. We all know it's trading so low, but what's your idea use case for it? Do you think that office is coming back in terms of people are going to start hopefully interacting with each other more instead of, on Zoom all the time? What's the plan for office in your mind?
Great question. So let's look at what got us here today. These, COVID was the primary cause.
Yeah.
Where work from home. But then what also happened was these downtown office buildings are no longer populated, which means all the bars and restaurants in the area where, normally the office people can frequent,
right?
Those they were closing left and right. And then you have all these young people, the millennials, were living downtown. And now during COVID lockdowns, they're cooped up in a box, probably with a significant other, a spouse. They like having pets, so maybe a couple dogs. And they're
they either got a pet, a new kid, or a divorce. One of the three during COVID.
Yes. So they were like, all right, I got to get the hell out of downtown too. So they all moved to the suburbs.
Yeah.
And this young generation, they were going to buy in the suburbs eventually. COVID accelerated that. So in the suburbs, you had this explosive growth. All the new bars and restaurants were popping in suburban downtowns, and suburban office has always been attractive. It never took a hit during COVID. Now, the exception to that is those larger office buildings, and especially the ones that are in the office parks, those suburban office parks, right?
Right, because it's not industrial. It's just like not sustainable. Nobody wants to have a 71-person law office, there anymore, because they just don't. It's just wasted space.
Yeah. So again, suburban office had never taken a hit. But now we can buy office buildings that are cash flowing 10, 20% annualized cash on cash, and you're buying them for 30 cents on the dollar. It's a once in a lifetime opportunity to pick up these trophy buildings that are never going to trade at this price again.
Yeah. And one thing that I've been saying that I think people kind of misinterpret just by driving around is there's some office complexes where you may drive by and look and there's very few cars. That doesn't mean it's bad rent. They are still, someone's on the hook for all the rents. Their people just all may be working at home and they're just taking the hit for the rent, right? I mean, is that the goal, or is there like repurposed office coming in your mind?
Well, so in terms of repurposing, I want nothing to do with that, because the best use case is repurposing to apartments.
Right. And it's so hard and costly and impossible. Yeah, I agree.
Unless you're in a big city with so much demand, please don't do it. It's just not worth it.
It's just a bad conversion because of the configuration of office versus residential. You're basically like almost doing a knockdown.
Yeah, it's a really bad idea. So our thesis is very simple. We just want to find great value add office amongst other assets, but know that we have a plan or path to profitability. So it's either cash flowing on day one, or during due diligence, we'll market it, try to land some great tenants. We don't ever want to count on a vacated tenant that's gone dark, still paying rent.
Yeah, good call.
That can change, right? And
of course.
That's not a great tenant to have there.
Well, also, it doesn't help the building to have no cars there. If there's more cars, more people want to be there, especially for if you're going to be cooperative about who's going in there. Attorney, now you need an accountant. That's your traditional one-stop shop.
Yeah, and office is no different than retail or apartments. Think about it. Would you live in an apartment where there's 4 other people out of a 100-unit building, right?
Right.
So that doesn't work. So buying a fully vacant building is very, very tough to repopulate. You've got to make it attractive. And there's a couple ways to do that. One is, you're buying it for 30% of what all your neighbors bought their buildings for.
Yeah.
So you can offer a 50% reduction on rent compared to market.
Yeah.
2, nobody wants those neutered, sterile 80s office buildings anymore, right? They want something hipsterish.
Yeah.
they want something with a cool vibe.
Yeah, I
The
agree.
days, yeah,
I
those
work for the
cubicle walls.
government, so I remember my government offices, and I remember the first day I walked in, and I was like, "What color is this on the wall?" And somebody said, "I think it's ochre." It's just like it's just the worst, and I know that feeling from just working there back in the day and knowing that. And you do get a different feeling as a consumer and as an employer who works there to have a more hip building. People are going to come in. It's a
Yeah,
different vibe.
it's just better recruiting. Just who wants to be there, right?
Yeah,
Old
yeah.
sterile building. It's like a hospital.
Yeah.
So, for the listeners, even smaller suburban office, 10,000 square feet, those buildings are typically very easy to lease up, especially if you're in a walkable downtown suburb.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of what you're saying is like in my mind, the thesis of this downtown. Like, I just love downtown. Like, I really want to do more revitalization and stuff, but it is hard when you have a lot of like mixed components. But a lot of times that downtown or Main Street runs into like, hey, now there's a commercial eightplex. And that services a lot of the walkability of downtown, which of course, America, we live in just a primarily drive everywhere society. But like you were saying, the people who all moved out, the reason they were living in the cities because you can walk everywhere. And we're not
Yes.
talking like it doesn't have to be New York City. Every place has a cool downtown where you can walk. It just may be underpopulated.
Yeah. And post COVID, now we have really cool suburban downtowns too, right?
Yeah. I mean, and hip, but it's like, I mean, obviously, because you were born in New Jersey and I'm here in New Jersey, there's a lot of cool Main Street downtowns. And then you get that kind of like suburban office plaza. But I can still see a lot of this coming back because me personally, I'm not someone who thinks, work from home is the solution to everything. Because I remember, again, going back to my days as a prosecutor, like 10 of us would go out to lunch every day. It was phenomenal. Like the camaraderie that was there from like seeing people every day makes a big difference in your life. Now people are we're all sitting around. I mean, maybe we can like combine this a little bit.
Yeah. Every major Fortune 500 just about has announced back in the office full time, 5 days a week. Even those laid back tech companies, Google, Facebook, the ones that had chefs in the office and you could bring your dog.
Yeah.
They were one of the biggest proponents of work from home. Now they're calling people back. So it was short lived. The whole work from home movement.
Yeah.
If you've ever heard Jamie Dimon from JP Morgan go off on those rants,
yeah,
he's like, you guys sit there in these Zoom calls and you're texting each other on, what an idiot this person is. And then I try to get a hold of you guys on a Friday and nobody is ever around.
Yeah.
Don't tell me you're working from home. And, Jonathan, I remember when COVID first happened, 6 months, a year into it, we would go out to lunch, and on any nice day, if you sit outside at a restaurant, you'll see people with cocktails and 2-hour lunches, right?
Yeah.
You never would have seen that pre-COVID. And these are all people that are working from home.
Yeah.
And what's funny is the productivity metrics, when they first came out, on average, people were 3 hours more productive working from home. That's because it was new. And instead of leaving your house at 8 a.m. to get to work by 8:40, you just went downstairs to your kitchen table, your office, and started working.
Yeah.
Now the numbers have shifted. On average, they're 4 hours less productive working from home. We all learn how to game the system, right?
I mean, we're sitting in front of a computer most of the time either way. It's not like this is a trouble for like an HVAC person. They have to be out in the field. They can't do it from home. If you're at home and your work's on a computer, you can just open another browser and screw around half the day.
Yeah, there was a venture capital guy, one of the big ones. It might have been Peter Thiel, but he wanted to find out how many people were truly working in his company. So he tried to create software that measures or identifies those little mouse movers, right? They move your screen.
Yeah.
Couldn't do it. So every one that he can find from China, he bought all those little devices that sit there and move your mouse, make it look like you're working. And he had his team build algorithms to catch them. And it was like 70% of his staff had one of those.
That's crazy.
It was insane.
Yeah. I mean, it just goes to show that although businesses are saying like, oh, come back to work, and then people are fighting it, there's a lot more to it though, because I think people would be better off. Everyone talks about loneliness epidemic. Like, maybe everyone's productivity would increase again. You get more collaboration. I mean, obviously I like that we can do this virtually because it'd be hard for me to get up to 313 episodes by traveling around. I'm not Tim Ferriss or Rich Roll. They're not going to come to me. But in terms of the work, I really believe in office because I liked it when I worked in an office other than the color.
Yeah. You learn management. Like, how do you manage somebody over Zoom or email? In person, when you see a really good manager interact or hold a meeting, it teaches you a lot.
Yeah.
Right. And same thing when you see a bad manager, but you have to be around people.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. So in terms of like office, I really get, what's your favorite of these other value add asset classes? Like what's the next best value, even right now, for a value add? You like heavy value add for commercial?
Yes. It changes based on market cycles. So, before industrial was really hot, that's starting to cool off. Flex space was on fire.
Yeah.
A lot of cities are oversaturated with flex. We love retail. And if you think about any city, all those cranes that you see, they're building apartments. They're not building retail. Like, when's the last time anyone saw new retail being built, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And the problem with retail in terms of perception is people think, oh, retail's dying. The Amazon effect, the internet's going to kill retail. So if you look at the data, CBRE, one of the biggest brokerage companies in the country, they have kept metrics on retail vacancy for the last 20 years. It's the lowest today that it's ever been in history.
Wow.
So retail is the healthiest it's ever been.
Yeah.
But when people see, Bed Bath & Beyond, JCPenney, Kmart, Sears closing, oh my God, retail's dying. But, for a beginner, if you look at where you go for the dog groomer, the pizza place, the deli, those little suburban strip malls that are maybe 2 or 3 tenants, those are gold mines. They cash flow so well.
Yeah.
So we always loved retail. It's gotten really competitive lately. Seems like the secret's out. These national tenants, historically, if we wanted one in our strip mall, we'd have to go chase them down, knock on their doors. Now they're coming to us and saying, hey, we want in. And that's never happened in history.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, part of that retail is the same. It's like people were cooped up for a long time. And, is it cool that I can get everything tomorrow on Amazon? Yeah. I'm an introvert though. Extroverts like to go out and they like to have lunch, and, then go do a little shopping, or they, you go, like you said, you go to the dog groomer and then you're like, oh, next door, there's another place where you need something. It's nice. I mean, it's always been a hub. It's just like, yeah, I wonder who the small scale investor for that is. Like, you guys are obviously big, but do you think that mom and pops are going to still kind of try to get back into retail? I think they're scared of it. And maybe that's good for you though.
I think that's a really good question. If I think about it, there's always people that are looking to start businesses, right? So I think that's not going to change. You're still going to have demand.
Yeah.
You know what else is interesting though? Whatever generation comes after millennials, I don't know what they're.
I can't keep track either.
But they're going to malls again.
Yeah.
They're actually going to malls. Like, they enjoy going to the mall.
Yeah. I mean, when my daughter was in middle school and high school, I did a trip and back to the mall every single day. That's where they hung out,
Awesome. Yeah.
But I used to go to the mall even in college. I remember I went to the Buckland Hills Mall in Connecticut. I was like, my brother and I would just go once a week. There's just a whole bunch of stuff that you can do there.
Yeah. And we're Gen Xers. So the mall was everything, right? Yeah. The weekend, you go to the mall.
Yeah. See people. I mean, a lot of this stuff that we're saying, though, is trending together as things that happened during COVID. But I kind of wonder, because a lot of our goals over time is to buy, especially if you're talking about 4 or 5 plex retail, those you want to buy for mom and pops because, they keep random books. They're getting old. Their kids don't want it. And you can get a good deal, and it's a win-win for everybody. But I wonder if the new investors, like, are you talking to new investors who are now going to bypass trying to buy a multifamily and becoming a terrible landlord like all of us have tried, and just say, like, you know what, maybe something different's out there?
I've been screaming this for 15 years from the mountaintops.
Yeah, yeah.
And I always hear the same excuses. Retail's too difficult. It's too risky. Um, it's been really difficult trying to get the word out, trying to convince people. It's just, there's so much against us because all these other books and YouTube videos talk about scaling single families, getting multifamilies. That's where it's at, right? People just don't seem to look beyond that.
Yeah. And I mean, anyone who follows Cody Sanchez knows like her big thing is ownership. And that comes from Sam Zell and a lot of other people. And if you want ownership, like I'm telling, my kids are both adults. I'm telling them like, listen, let's buy businesses. Let me start a business for you. Let's go business. Let's figure out what AI, the retail and the businesses and the type of real estate that we're talking about are the things that are going to be available for these board game shops and these cat cafes, these kind of unusual oddities that never would have existed, but that would really work, in a subscription model, which is how I think. I think businesses are the key to people's future because all these jobs are going to be taken away. And if you can, get a good deal, like you're saying, you get it at 50% and you can try it out in a year and it doesn't go well, good try. Hopefully it does go well though.
I have the opposite opinion.
All right, cool.
And I'll tell you why. You look at people like Cody Sanchez and others that are on social media. All the rage now is buying businesses. I can't tell you how many people have come to me and they're like, "Hey, I'm thinking about buying this business. Why? Why?" And they don't have a good reason. Cody Sanchez had a video where she's like, "Hey, I just bought this automotive repair shop and I'm going to make this much money on it." Okay. So what they don't tell you is what happens if the foreman leaves and then takes his mechanics with him. What happens if they don't respect you as an owner and the culture changes? One or two key people leave. Guess what? You just bought a full-time job. You just bought an 80-hour-a-week job, right? So what they don't tell you, and I don't see this anywhere on social media, is the pitfalls of being a business owner. Right.
Actually, I completely agree, though. I like starting businesses because I think young people, you can start a business for not a lot. You can really save together and then do it. I agree with you, though. And I can, every time I go to think of buying a business, exactly what you're saying is what comes up for me. Those people don't like if I buy HVAC, I can't even do HVAC. They're not going to respect me. Right. I'm going to be the overlord and do social media for them. Like I see the opportunity. Like I've seen people do well, window cleaning and things like that. That's pretty simple, at least in terms of how you do it. But yeah, I do agree with that. I think social media is a big problem for investing overall. The shiny things that look cool on there, that's not the stuff that makes all the money. It just looks like it does because not a lot of people are going to make the video about that mixed use.
I completely agree with you in that start a low or no cost business. Just all you need is creativity.
Exactly.
It's so easy, right?
Yeah.
Yes. But, what I tell people when they're looking at buying these businesses, I say, "Hey, do you know what it takes just to hire one person? All the forms you've got to fill out, all the background stuff,
good point. Yeah.
The eligibility checks with each state now.
Yeah.
I mean, in the workers' comp insurance, like it's a lot. And none of these gurus are telling you this on social media.
And just workers' comp, someone's going to get hurt, especially if you're operating in one of those garbage businesses, like someone arms going in there. You're exactly right. They're playing up the bigger parts of it, but they're not playing up all the. First of all, anyone who says like, "Oh, I'll just go get a 10-plex," like then you're dealing with 10 clients, and they think, "Oh, then someone like us, they say, oh, well, they say do realtor." You're saying perfectly now. Well, do you really want to buy into 8 people who don't even like their job, but now they're your problem every day? You're buying into other things. It's not passive, Right. And I think a lot of people are looking for something more passive, which is interesting, but I don't think they know how to get it because again, passive isn't flashy. Maybe syndications are flashy, but the operationalization is hard.
I met a 25-year-old young lady, and today she called me during her lunch break, asked if she can pick my brain. And she's like, "I want passive income." And I said, "You haven't earned the right to get passive income.
Speaking my language.
You're 25. Spend the next 10 years grinding. Create these low or no cost businesses. Fail over and over again. Take on partners and do things together so it's more fun. Learn the nuances of having failed partnerships. And then when you've earned it, you can think about passive income."
Well,
But
why would a 25-year-old be able to get passive income? What makes you have the foundational support to get passive income? That's the pipe dream. Fire
yeah,
movement, total pipe dream.
yeah. When I first met her, she really impressed me. She's a paralegal. She bartends for extra money.
Hustler, yeah.
Yes. And then she told me that she had a Pilates studio that her friend built out because her friend's mom owned the strip mall. So her friend and her were going to start a Pilates studio. And then she's like, it just fizzled out. I'm like, what do you mean it fizzled out? She's like, well, I realized I like being instructed versus being an instructor in Pilates, but I love Pilates. I said, okay, so like, where does it stand?
Yeah.
She's like, it's still there. It's vacant. How long has it been vacant? Since last summer. So 2 summers ago. And I said, wait a minute. Like, this lady gave you her space. Your friend paid to build out a Pilates studio and you guys just let it fizzle out. But you're talking to me about wanting more money and passive income. I'm like, get your ass to work, find an instructor, like finish this. You can't start it and just not do anything with it because it fizzled out.
Yeah. I mean, I always rant on work ethic. I think it's different now, and I don't think COVID helped with, especially with what we've talked about. But, my first job was as a prosecutor and people are like, oh, you went to law school, you're going to get paid a lot. No, my salary was $25,000. I was working for the government. 25,000. This was 1997. And I was working 80 to 100-hour weeks and I loved every minute of it. And I was just like, I like working. I don't know why people don't you just have to find something that you like. And if you don't like it, what's wrong with still being good at it? Be the best so you keep getting raises and you build that foundation. Just like her. So what have you worked for yet? Why do you deserve passive income?
Entitlement, right?
Yeah. Hey, it's Jonathan. I hope you're enjoying this episode with Ash Patel. And if you want to invest beyond multifamily, I think you're in the right place. Go to investbeyondmultifamily.com. That's where you'll find Ash and his team and the mastery courses and current offerings, as well as their portfolio, where you can explore their strategy on going beyond multifamily. Let's get back to Ash.
Again, like you're spending your weekends bartending for a little bit of money while you have this opportunity just sitting idle. Makes no sense.
Yeah. I mean, it's just a different mindset. And I think I created this for a mindful approach. And that's why I love having these discussions with people like you, because I really think people can change. Just one small change in mindset can really change the way they look at just the way that they're looking at that space. There, it's dead space, but it could be so much more. It could be something that's bringing in a lot of income. You just have to be more creative. It's not going to fall into your lap. That's just, it's not the lottery.
You nailed it. And I'll tell you, my buddy Joe Fairless, he's got $3 billion of assets under management. And I heard him say one day while he was giving a small talk, he said, 20% of my success was because of mechanics. 80% was mindset. And I'm like, okay, that seems a little excessive. I have a commercial mastermind. I went to my group and I said, guys, this is what Joe said. Like, what do you think? And people were like 100%. Matter of fact, it's probably closer to 90% mindset. And I was blown away. And how it's so true. It's all mindset, right?
I believe it because I've taken both a mindset and mindfulness journey to get to this place. But a lot of it is reimagining what my dad was telling me growing up about real estate, because I was a kid on looking in all the commercial assets, everything. I was in all of them. I remember picking up rent in cash from a video game store, and I would always get an Intellivision game. It was like the best. My dad's like, we're getting rent. I'm like, I just want the baseball game. But I still remember these things, and I think that it's a little bit what's lost because everybody's looking at short form content. So that means their whole trajectory of their life is now short form content. How do I get to Z quicker without doing any work? What would you do if you were already retired? I'd be so bored.
That's another fallacy. People are like, oh, I just want to live on an island, wake up on the beach every day. No, you don't.
Yeah, I give you an hour.
Right. I mean, listen, we've done those beach vacations. You get bored out of your mind.
Yeah, but they also want full Wi-Fi, Amazon delivery. Like these things don't all go together. Well, let's go through some more commercial assets that you like over your career. What are some of your other favorites? Like I know you talked industrial and flex. Do you like storage? What other ones? I know you said medical also, which is an interesting asset.
Yeah, it's easy to tell you what I really don't like is self-storage.
How come?
Because one, it's a job, right? You have to have people or systems. Like you have to have people. There's no way around it. You need to be there, or somebody needs to be there. But right now, self-storage has been so overbuilt where when you're looking at buying self-storage, the existing customers are going to be your highest paid customers. Everybody that you bring on now, you're discounting 3 months free. And what people have resorted to, these self-storage operators, they will Google each person's address. And if they live in an apartment, they know that they can probably raise their rent a little bit every month, but they might leave.
Yeah.
If you live in a big mansion, like, oh, cool, I'm going to raise their rent all the time. And that's what they've resorted to, right? So it's just municipalities never slowed down the growth of self-storage. So overbuilt.
Yeah.
So medical office has always been attractive. And it's the simple reason that the doctors are sticky, right? They don't want to go anywhere. Rent is a very small percentage of revenue where, if you look at a restaurant, rent can be 15 to 20%, maybe higher of their revenue.
Yeah.
So the reason a lot of restaurants fail is because they get behind on rent. You've never heard a doctor say, man, I got to pay my rent.
Yeah.
I don't know how I'm going to do that. Right.
Yeah. Just make us wait longer, jam more people in the waiting room.
Yeah. So doctors often cannot afford to leave because if they leave, they lose their patient base. And, let's say we have a podiatrist and they leave, well, I'm calling 5 other podiatrists and say, hey, this used to be a podiatry office for 10 years. Do you guys want it? Open a satellite location?
Yeah.
You have a built-in patient base.
Right. They won't even know, because people just ghost their own business, and leave. And also medical, similar to what we were saying before, it's pretty sticky in terms of the inside. You got podiatrists. Oh, my back hurts. Hey, there's a chiropractor over there. Like that, it always works. And then you start throwing in like the massage, and now you really have that one-stop medical plaza, which, a lot of times you don't realize, and you're like, oh, I'm going here, and I went here for something else. It's all there.
Yeah. And they also trade at lower cap rates, right? Because they're longer term tenants, and often you can put them on triple net leases. So the docs are responsible for, building maintenance, lights, taxes, insurance.
Yeah. I mean, goes back to your aha moment. Like, hey, this grocery store is building out cool stuff and my tenants are just wrecking everything.
Yeah. So medical, again, always attractive, always in favor, doesn't really have ups and downs. Industrial, I don't know that we really seek industrial, but we look at everything, and we're really open to buying industrial. There's just a lot of nuances with that in terms of accessibility to interstates, bay doors, ceiling heights, power, parking, semis being able to turn around easily.
Yeah.
And those buildings are trading value add buildings, maybe vacant. They're trading anywhere from 100 to 150 a foot. So well below build cost, right? Anytime you can buy something significantly below replacement or build cost is a win. Land is interesting. You have to have a use case for it.
Yeah.
Otherwise you sit on it hoping that
it just discovers itself, right?
Yeah. And you hear those stories of people that they own land for 30 years and now there's a Whole Foods strip mall. I get it, but 30 years of holding no income.
They probably forgot they have it. It got foreclosed. Somebody else bought the tax lien. That's traditional.
Yeah. Or they inherited land and all of a sudden it's a data center is going on it. But the slow game in land, is not worth it because your holding costs are there.
Yeah, yeah. It's interesting though, because I mean, of course, across all these episodes, I've had so many niche investors. So even the areas where we both say, that's not really for me, the people who are niche in that, they're great at it because they can focus at it on the like all the time. How are you able to work with different asset classes? Is it more fun for you? Because I get bored easily. I never like to just be in one. But some might say, like, would it be easier if you just niche down and stuck to just like one?
I have the attention span of an ant. Like I get bored very, very quickly.
Same. Yeah.
It's funny. My assistant that sits next to me, he'll be like, "Hey, we have to do this." All right, cool. And as we're doing it, I'll sidetrack it just won't get done.
Yeah.
We sidetrack so many times, like I'm bad. But I think commercial people should be able to look at any asset and determine if it deserves a second look, and then determine if you should deep dive and if it could be a great deal.
Yeah.
I think it's silly to only be in apartments, only be in medical, only be in retail, because these asset classes ebb and flow differently with market cycles as well, right? So if you're just doing industrial, what happens when industrial's out of favor? You're sitting on bad assets.
Yeah.
Like, why wouldn't you pivot?
Yeah, I mean, that's why people create funds that have diversified asset classes in it. That's the pitch of that. What about geographically? I know you're in Cincinnati. Geographically, where are you looking for commercial? Are you expanding way out to keep that geographical diversification, or are you okay with maintaining it in the areas closer?
We don't care where it is. So we've got properties throughout the Midwest and Southeast. And in all honesty, COVID, I think, was what really did that for me, because during COVID, I'm like, okay, I'm not going to these properties. Like, let's figure out systems to just not have to go on site every time a tenant calls. So, we don't care where the property is. And believe it or not, we self-manage most of what we own. So it's not difficult with commercial real estate, right? You can't do that with apartments unless you have a management company.
Yeah.
But, again, why, like if you're looking at LoopNet or Crexy, why would you filter it by retail? Why not look at everything? Because something might be a screaming life-changing deal.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So keep your eyes open, man. Look at everything.
Yeah, I agree, because I think that people forget what commercial assets are. Because like you said, they're kind of pigeonholing themselves into thinking like, well, I just want to get this. If you just open it up, you're like, wait, maybe I can do something else with that in the industrial, because industrial areas have developed so much differently over time, to include a lot of more office space, or attorneys are like, well, I don't need to be on Main Street anymore. I'll build out an office in this office park. It's a different thing. Maybe you can find something that you didn't think was available.
And you don't have to start big, right? My first building was a $230,000 building, and everything I bought just slowly escalated from there. So I bought small warehouses, Class C strip malls. I bought a lot of rough properties in the beginning, so you can learn as you grow. And different asset classes, their underlying fundamentals are the same. It's just learning the nuances.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's talk small strip mall, because I really liked it. I owned a 5-plex in New York for a long time. We had an anchor tenant that was a deli. If you're looking for like a 4 or 5 commercial, do you want an anchor, or does that put you in jeopardy if they ever leave?
Not
like an anchor, like a ShopRite or something, but your kind of mini anchor.
I never thought about that. If we have a small strip mall, I don't care if there's an anchor or not. I want, if I can help it, complementary businesses.
Yeah.
But you also want to look at how much parking you have. And if you're tight, which I've had plenty of these, you can't have 5 lunch places. Right?
Yeah.
You've got to maybe have a tax guy or girl that is only busy a month out of the year. So you have to be really cautious about that. I think having an anchor would be phenomenal, but I would just take the best tenants I could find.
Yeah,
I wouldn't hold off for an anchor.
Yeah, what you just said is one of the most important and underthought of things is parking. I know, because in that 5-plex we had a deli, so they had same people came every day. The workers came same times, and we had physical therapy, so that was pretty good. People came in on schedule. But then we had a gym. And like, so January and February, when everyone's like, oh, I'm going to go back to the gym, like you couldn't get parking, and it was on a busy road. So you couldn't like park on the side of the road. So it was an issue. And I found looking around that if you have excess parking, that's just the best for everything. You can repurpose it into something else. You could lease out some of it for like boat or RV storage. There's just a lot of extra options. So is that something that you're looking for first, just to make sure like, hey, are we good on parking? I think even multifamily operators miss that.
Yes, that's a huge part of our due diligence list, because I've had so many different properties where parking was tight, and it's so frustrating because when you have a vacancy, you get these incredible tenants that want to come look at it,
Yeah.
but then they look at the parking, they're like, wait a minute, is this all you have? And you lose them,
right.
right?
I'm trying to bring people to this place.
Yeah. I've fought that battle so many times that I don't want to do it again. So parking is such a huge thing. But we've also bought giant strip malls where we're able to build outlots on the end of the parking lots, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, man, I don't want to fight those battles again. They're so frustrating.
Yeah. So for somebody who's kind of, let's just say newer, they've got some capital to spend, and they didn't find anything interesting by looking out there, and they're not being swayed to get into multi or single family. But is it possible that there's something? How should they start with anything that we're talking about commercial on the small scale? Is retail the best first option for them just because it's accessible and it should be cash flowing?
Yes, mixed use buildings would probably be more ideal.
Yeah,
and the way to underwrite that is the retail should really be icing on the cake. Your apartments should cover all of your expenses, and then retail should be all profit.
Yeah. That makes sense.
But yes, those smaller strip malls, and when you look at those, make sure that there's not a bunch of land that they could just build a newer, bigger, better strip mall. Right. But in these neighborhood locations where the roads are such that everybody has to drive by that one strip mall, and they have neighborhood services, dog groomer, little pizza shop, whatever.
Yeah.
Those are easy to lease up, and you should buy them at very high cash flowing rates because there's not a lot of competition wanting to buy them.
Yeah. The interesting thing about, I know I'm a licensed agent. I've been licensed for 12 years. The coolest thing about mixed use that most people don't know is that you can house hack a mixed use property. If it's more than 50% residential, you can get an owner occupied loan on it and live upstairs and then do the retail. So it's like this interesting for those people who are following house hacking classes. I'm always telling them, okay, have you ever thought about mixed use? What if there's a mixed use and you have like a rock solid tenant in there, which for a lot of these mixed uses is like barber shops sometimes. Like if they've been there 10 years, they're not going out of business. Like, that's rock solid. You have to know the community also of what you got there. What do you think about that idea?
That's a great hack. I never thought of that.
Yeah, it's cool. That's 51% residential. So I always say if you know there's 2 units upstairs and there's just one retail, like you're in business because you just know square footage wise, like you're going to go.
Yeah. That's brilliant. No reason anybody should not consider that if they're house hacking.
Yeah. So my friend did it with the laundromat. And if you're buying one of those with the laundromat's always thrown in because somebody's giving it up on it. And again, just like we were saying before, we're talking about Cody, it's not as easy a business as you think. And they eventually sold it because it was a pain. But you have a cash flowing asset inside downstairs, you have a bigger rent coming in, and then you can kind of play around and you get the benefit of living there. So as you just reduced your cost of living with a higher rent for the retail.
That's the advice I should have given that 25-year-old young lady that I talked to.
Yeah.
Go house hack a mixed use building. That's brilliant. I love it.
Put it into the thing. I mean, I just think people have to think a little bit differently. That's why I really like this conversation. I've been trying to just convince younger investors to skip out on all the things that they think are like, why would you flip a house now as a new person? Like, please don't do it. A lot of people, like a lot of us have done it. It's just not a wise investment right now. You're probably going to blow it. You don't have the time to do it. And there's other assets out there that are interesting.
Yeah. And I want to escape competition, right? So if you're going to house hack, you're going up against large companies, people that have been doing it for generations. How are you going to compete with them? Apartments, for years, they've been saturated where it's so hard to find a deal with apartments because everybody's chasing them. So look where no one else is looking, right? escape the competition.
I think it's a great point. I mean, that's kind of the way that I do business. When everyone's going in one direction, I go in the other. Hey, there's nobody there. People are like, oh, well, you're missing out on business. I'm like, no, I'm not, because whoever comes over to my pond, I'm the only person there. That's exactly what you're saying.
You don't have a tornado warning, do you? Is that what it is?
No, I live. This happens like once every 5 shows. I live very close to the volunteer fire department, and I still don't know why they don't have a text system. This is like, I didn't know it when I moved in, and then I moved in. I'm like, what the hell is that? 3 times a day. But everyone, it's not like it's only me. Everyone in this area gets it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't have to run out at any time.
All right. Good.
Yeah. So young people have these opportunities. Are there any asset classes that you think are really like unknown that we haven't talked about that kind of interest you? I know a lot of people are bringing up data centers. That's obviously something big, but I'm so worried about AI as a whole. It just doesn't interest me. I'll put it into a REIT just to see what happens. But other than that, I'm good.
Anything we didn't cover that young people should know or look at? I think we nailed most of it. Yeah,
we had a wide spectrum of stuff. Yeah. I really feel like it's a good grab bag though for people, and it's cool that you do it all and you're kind of open to it, because I understand why people niche, but for people like you and I just get bored. If I had all the same thing, I'd just be bored.
Maybe part of it was when I was first starting out, I had a limited amount of capital, and maybe I could only afford something up to like $450. So I would look at everything that I could buy for up to $450.
Yeah.
And then up to $600 cool. And then higher. So I didn't have the luxury of being able to focus on just one asset class.
Yeah.
And it's worked out well.
Yeah, I'm that guy who I'm on the MLS all the time, and I'll always look at weird commercial. It's how I found my brokerage space that I'm in. There was this weird commercial space. You'll like this because you're a commercial guy. It came up and it was like there was no photos, and it was on Main Street in the town where my brokerage is in Madison, and it was $750. I'm like, what? Like, how big is this? And it said in the thing, it's 250 square feet. I'm like, that seems really small. I went and looked at it. There were still no photos, and I immediately locked it up for 3 years. And I'll do like a 10 after that, because it's just at a part where there is no parking, but there's parking in back. So for a brokerage, it works perfectly. But for like a coffee shop that was there, doesn't work at all.
Yeah. That's another good tip for the audience is whenever you see something on the MLS or LoopNet, wherever it is, if it doesn't have a price, if it doesn't have a picture, those are the ones you want to call, because that's how you escape competition.
Yeah, right.
Most of us are too lazy. We just want to thumb through listings. And if it takes effort to pick up the phone and call, we're not going to do it. We're going to skip over it. So always do that. The benefit for you is because residential and commercial, you can look at every listing.
Yeah, I love it.
And the world is yours, right?
Yeah.
You can pick out good deals on any asset class.
It's fun though. And I think if people are listening to this and you and I talking, we just obviously both love real estate. And I think if you want to get into it, to your point before, look at all the stuff that's under your price point. Cause maybe just go see it and it's cool. And you say, you know what, later, after I get my feet wet a little, I might like to get a 3-plex retail, because it just seems like a good idea. You don't have to not expose yourself to anything and only look for house hacks.
Here's a question for you. Do you think that you should love real estate if you're going to be like you or I, like if you're going to be active and do it all the time?
I don't think that you have to, but I think you'll be, I don't know, I guess more incentivized to do better at it. I feel like people who don't love it tend to pay more for more passivity, and they pay a lot, and maybe it works out fine. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm not sure that your long scale millionaire next door, I don't know that all of them loved it, but they probably love the cash flow. What do you think?
I met one guy recently, and he had a bunch of apartments, and I'm like, oh, what are you doing next? How are you going to scale? He's like, listen, I'm not like you guys. And we're in a group of real estate people. He's like, I'm not like the rest of you guys. I absolutely hate real estate. This was just a plan for me to get out of my W-2. I hate it. I absolutely hate real estate. I'm like, wow.
I bet he's losing money somewhere in that. It might be fine. It might be okay. He might make enough money, but there's always that till that's losing money when you don't like it.
Yeah, that's a great point because we live and breathe this stuff, right?
Right. I
And
want to plug all the holes. He could care less. He's like, I'm making
yeah,
enough. So let some more water in the boat.
yeah. And most of my friends are real estate people, and that's all we ever talk about. You know,
Yeah.
my wife hates it, but um, yeah. So you're right. When you live and breathe it, you get better at it, and you just learn more, become more efficient. That's a good point.
Yeah, I'll tell you another funny story because you appreciate it. So when I was growing up, like we would just be driving by one of those retail fiveplexes. It's like me, my stepbrothers, my little half sister in the car, and my dad would just pull over the car to fiveplex. I'm like, what the hell? What are you doing? We're going to McDonald's. Can we get our food? We're all complaining in the back. He's looking through the windows, looking for phone numbers. He pulls over to a payphone. He's calling somebody. He's making cash offer on a weird retail. We do this on vacation. So, I mean, like,
Yeah.
I still feel like that. I always think I want to pull over because I do a lot in upstate New York and I'm driving by all these weird old motels and old self-storage. And I'm like, I got to just go once when I don't have appointments so I can just do that. Because really, like you're saying, especially when it comes to small commercial, a lot are going to have no or horrendous pictures. This isn't residential. They're not hiring a photographer. You might see the agent in the mirror of the bathroom, in the auto shop. Like, this is how you find good deals. And you could really stumble onto something huge if you just don't make it easy on yourself looking for the pictures.
I often wonder how or what normal people look at when they're driving. They probably just focus on the road, right? Anytime we see, a strip mall, God forbid we see a for sale or for lease sign, all of our attention is like diverted.
Yeah. The thing I always say, like, I need somebody with me so I could just call the stuff out. Like, I want my son to just drive with me 24 hours a day so I can just call it out and you write it down. So I have the notes because it's too hard. Sometimes I try it, hey Siri, and then I put it through and like all of a sudden when I read it later, I'm like, I don't know. It says like storage and no address. Nothing's correct. It's like technology hasn't taught me.
Use the voice dictation on your phone.
Yeah. Hopefully,
the problem is then you got to remember to look at it and do something with it.
Yeah, exactly. So tell me about Invest Beyond Multifamily.
It's just the company that we formed. We syndicate our deals. I'll take that back. We syndicate a portion of our deals. Anything that we think is safe with predictable returns. Anything that has a fair amount of risk, I'll still buy myself.
Yeah.
No partners. But yeah, syndicating has been great. I've been doing that for about 5 years. Never lost investor capital. Don't plan on ever losing investor capital. And that's it. We also have an education platform as well for people that want to learn commercial.
Yeah, cool. Is that the mastermind part or is that something different?
It is.
Yeah. And don't you feel like masterminds, like the content, of course, you want to be great, but I always find it's the connections that you make in the mastermind. Like, you could be meeting business partners for your next 20 years that you didn't know existed in these things, right?
It's a game changer. So, Jonathan, a couple times a year, we go rent a couple Airbnbs in different parts of the country.
Yeah, awesome.
And out of the 100 people that we have in the mastermind, we may get about 30 that come on these trips. And it's 3 days long. And it's just everyone is talking real estate the whole time, but the connections are life-changing.
Yeah.
Because when the people leave there, whoever they connected with deeply, they end up looking for deals together. Right. They work together. And it's always more fun doing things together, right? But yeah, those connections you cannot form on Zoom.
Yeah, and you start to match skill sets and realize, like, okay, I can go a little bigger because I don't like to do X, and Bob loves to do X. Like, that's all Bob wants to do. He doesn't want to do Y, and I'm great at Y. And now all of a sudden, you have like a real business working already before you even have a business.
Yeah, and also, if there's somebody really successful on Zoom, you might think that, oh wow, like, they're incredible. They've done all these deals, but when you meet them in person, and it's like, they're willing to help you. They're a normal person.
Yeah.
You can do what they've done. So it just brings everything into a clearer picture.
Yeah, I agree. And I've always said it about meetups. I've been running meetups for years. And to what you said, like in 2026, we're kind of going away from the in-person just because I've done them for so long. And we're looking to do more retreats just for select groups. But I think the thing that I've always found, it just demystifies the people who are good at real estate. I always joke like, yeah, you see that guy over there in shorts and a ripped shirt, and like headphones hanging off, like, yeah, 57 units and like 3 retail. They're like, what? I thought that was the bus boy. It's like, no, that's not real estate investors aren't what you see, on social media or on the bigger platforms. They're just regular people who started small, like you did. You're like, hey, this is going to be a tax advantage. And then they just kept going.
Yeah. It's that simple.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Well, I really appreciate it. Is investbeyondmultifamily.com the best place to get in touch with you?
Yeah, I'm easy to find. Facebook, LinkedIn, Ash Patel, Cincinnati. I answer all my own emails and social media.
Yeah.
And I'll
Me
talk
too.
to anybody.
Yeah.
What's the point of having it if you're going to have someone else pretend to be you?
Yeah, I know. Well, look, LinkedIn is just all ghostwriters. I know you're real on there because I see on there all the time. But yeah, it's a funny landscape. Well, I really appreciate it. It's been a great conversation. Thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you. Enjoy your weekend as well.
Yeah, you too. All right. That was Ash Patel. You can find him at investbeyondmultifamily.com or anywhere on social. I'm Jonathan Greene. We'll see you next episode. Thanks for sticking around to the end so you can get a preview of who's coming up on episode 314 of Zen and the Art of Real Estate Investing. It's Bree West of Summer-Led Designs. What do? They design short-term rentals that produce higher revenue, attract more bookings, and stand out in competitive markets. We're talking short-term rental design, increased ROI, high cash flowing properties. This is a short-term rental design show, and we go all through it with Bree next episode. See you there.